Welcome to a new episode of The Truth is Barrel Proof. I'm Jack Bigadoo, also known as the Hood Sommelier. I'm recording this episode very deep at the end of the night because this episode, I promise you, is not an ad, is more of a personal story, my story that I would like to tell you. I love single malt. I grew up in West Africa, also known as, colonized by European countries. So in our culture, single malt is a natural thing. About 8 years ago, when I was getting more into single malt and learning more, and 5 years ago when I wanted to start something around whiskey education, I'll be honest with you, there was no help. There was no one that wanted to teach you about whiskey, or maybe I couldn't find anyone that just. It wasn't about drinking the whiskey. It was about learning more about distillation, learning more about where, when, how, and why is that I enjoy something and I don't enjoy something else, right? And even when you go to the store and you're trying to talk to clerks, they have no clue about what they're selling you. This is no offense to just stores that just have single malts and they have them blended or single malt. But I'll be honest, I knew I knew five brands for sure. I knew five brands. I knew Glenlivet. I knew Glenfiddich. I knew J&B. You must be older to know what J&B is. Um, I know Johnny Walker. And every now and then I know Tomatin. And those are the brands that are very popular in the African culture and the African community. So they'll buy those bottles and they'll bring it to events and we'll enjoy it. But I knew there was more, and I knew there was more whiskey out there. I just didn't find the people or my tribe that could teach me more about it. So I got on a journey to know more, to do more, and learn more about single malt. And I will tell you, one of it's a lonely road because, and I hate to say this, being black, being African, and trying to get into a group of people that drink single malt was very awkward, was very off, and a lot of people were not just willing to open the doors to let you in. I will tell you right now, this is no shade to, the single malt consumer community. Is a very nice community now that I know more and I'm better educated. But again, I said at the beginning, this is not an ad. But about 4 years ago, I discovered the Scotch Malt Society of America, and that was the first time I found a membership and I found a place where it was more about education than about just drinking, right? So when I found the Scotch and Malt Society, I'm like, so this group, you just have to be a member. You can purchase whatever bottle you want, but it does not go crazy into giving you a name brand. There's no name brand. There's no reputation here, right? It's just simply a feeling, a moment, a place that is the title of the bottle, and some taste notes of a group of people that thought, after tasting this whole thing, this is how we feel about this thing. Where the whiskey's from, the age of the whiskey, and the region is from, and which cask it was aged on. And I fell in love because that's what I needed. I needed someone. to just not give me just a name brand, but give me clues so I can really blindly taste, learn something about the whiskey. Don't care about which distillery produced it, but how old is it? Why does it taste a certain way? Oh, it's because it went through this cask. It went through this cask. Oh, it's because it's from this region. It's from Speyside. It's from Isla. It's from Lowland. It's from Highlands. It's from the island of Skye. That's what I needed. I needed to learn more. Granted, the Scotch and Whiskey Society, they tried their best to make sure they go through their outrun and teach people, but it was the first time somebody brought a whiskey in front of me that was not about, oh, I drink this and I'd only drink that. Here's what I would tell you. If you're someone that's just getting into single malt and trying to learn more, brands are irrelevant. Brand doesn't matter. You really want to try a whiskey for the age, the type of grain, maybe the region is from, and maybe how was it mature, so you can take your time and really learn. The best part, the best part I was as I was getting more educated was that all these whiskey comes straight from the barrel. So they're not proof down to that 40% ABV, 80 proof, or they're not brought down by a master blender. It's straight from the bottle, straight from the barrel into the bottle. So they're limited to about 200 to 250 bottles per release, but you literally get to try it straight from the barrel. Right now, I'm trying this year's grilling on the beach. And when I tell you this Isla whiskey, 13 years old, ex bourbon, ex bourbon hedgehog, and also refill ex sherry hedgehog. Hell, I had to go learn what does hedgehog, butts, barrel, cask mean because these things just come out of that. He tells you the details that you need to know. And it'll say hickory smoked chicken with a sweet garlic chili sauce. And this is not crazy note. These are things that you can recognize. So again, this is not an ad for the Scotch and Malt Society. But if you're a curious person like me, if you're just a curious cat just like me, and you want to learn more about whiskey, forget the brands. Have a whiskey that is in front of you that gives you guidance, but let you go learn and explore. How did I sharpen my single malt palate? Right here. This is only 1.01% of what I own in this bottle. I probably have close to 50 or 70 bottles of the Scotch and Bone Society. Why? Because I'm a student of the art from all part of Scotland, from all part of Scotch. I want to learn. I want to know. And what happens when I get these bottles? I sit in front of them. I pour myself a dram and I sit and I nose it and I go through it. I don't even read on a bottle. All I read is I want to know where it's from, how old is it, what type of barrel was it aged on, and then I try it. And I sit with it. I let it sit on my palate. I let it go through. I try to get my mind to start thinking deeper and deeper and deeper. One of the things I do when I teach about Scotch school, I tell people, let's walk past what you just tasted. Because that's what I had to do. I always bring water. Again, I tell people all the time, I use Lark Fire water. This is Lark Fire. That's the water I use. It's wild water from Scotland. And when I taste it, every sip I take, I go in and I add a little bit of water. I add a little bit of water and I swing it around. I go back to nosing it. I go back to going deeper. The point I'm trying to make here is how do you sharpen your palate is by really learning. Don't worry about brains. Don't worry about brains. I love this ridiculous looking green bottles because they have no brands. There's no brand. Where, when, how long, how old, and how did it came about. That's all I need to know. And I have my handy dandy book that I will write into when I get my taste note before I do any comparison. The point I'm trying to make here is single malt can be scary, can be weird, can be hard. I think bourbon is easier to get into because it's just open, is is oak cask, but Scotch or single malt is harder because you literally it can go through multiple barrels. The aging process can be a little different. The blending can be a little different. I urge you to just take your time, get into it. Take a moment. It's your me time, right? And enjoy. And if you can get it at cast strength just meaning straight from the barrel, get yourself some water, distilled water, or for me, I use like fire, and just put a little bit in it, and just sit with it. Keep nosing, keep letting it come to you, and keep tasting. And I promise you'll get there. As this immigrant from Africa that loved single malt and got into it and started learning about it, before I started teaching anything about Scotch, I wanted it took me on a journey. The Scotch and Malt Society just took me on a journey. I'm hoping one day I get a chance to travel around Scotland and really try these distilleries that are producing this whiskey. But I can tell you one thing: education start with literally instinct. Let things feel and come to you. Now, if you want to join the Scotch and Malt Society, it is your choice. If you want to start your journey, do it like you want to do it like me. Feel free to join the Scotch and Malt Society. Tell them Hood Sommelier send you. Maybe they will give you a discount. But I can tell you right now, if you take your time, if you don't worry about brands and you just worry about taste and you just go into learning more deep in, there's so much more that you're gonna do. This was my rant. This was my preaching to y'all. People always say, "Oh, you don't know anything about Scotch," or you always talk about bourbon on your channel. And I say to the haters, to the naysayers, I love single malt. I actually enjoy it so much that I'm afraid to review him because sometimes when I do review, people are like, "Oh, you sensationalize," you put sensation in whiskey. But single malt is something I really enjoy, regardless of where it's from. But I'm just little old me from West Africa that love single malt, and I wish more single malt company can understand the impacts that they have on the world, that they have all around the world, and stop thinking that their life is centered around Scotland or Ireland and just Europe. People around the world, I took these bottles to Africa, and people were astonished. They didn't even know that there is possible to have cask strength whiskey, uh, cask strength Scotch. So again, this episode is titled "How Did I Sharpen My Scotch Palate?" And I just wanted to take a moment and tell you my story, tell you how I got here, what do I enjoy, and hopefully you guys get to go. If in the meantime you guys decide to join the Scotch and Malt Society, we become brethren, we become brothers. The Scotch and Malt Society have a lot of good things to offer. Again, it's not cheap, but it is worth it. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out on my Instagram, on my YouTube, or here on the podcast. And if anything come up, make sure you ask. I'm here to help. I got into this journey to help. So, like I say, this is just a one in a lifetime moment where a vulnerable moment when I'm sharing with y'all. The whiskey world is frustrating for an immigrant like me. The whiskey world is hard for an immigrant like me. But every day I tell myself I want to spread the good word. I want to y'all to know more about whiskey. But I couldn't do it without talking about the people that really offered me something to look forward to. The Scotch and Malt Society of America that offered me something to look forward to learn every day from. And if you're out there and you have any question, again, I'm here to help. For all of you guys listening or just here watching, thank you so much for being here. Let me know if you know anything about the Scotch and Malt Society. Where are you on your on your Scotch journey or single malt journey? I would love to learn more. What are you trying now? And till next time, thank you for watching. Really much so appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. Cheers.